What's up? Welcome to the inaugural episode of Stat Sheet. My name is Gage,
My name's Allan Wylie.
and we got a big show today. Big show. It's the best
Yeah,
time of the year. Best time of the
absolutely.
year. NBA Finals coming up. We're gonna dive into some stats, dive into some predictions, and see where it goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's rock and roll. So first and foremost, I feel like I just need to say I have no proof of this. I didn't record anything, but I did say Pacers in six and OKC in five for the last series. So I just need I have some I've got some evidence that I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I know you I know you've been high on OKC, yeah?
Oh, definitely. They're the best team right now in the league, in my opinion. I mean, you look at their first in steals. They have averaged 34 defensive rebounds per game. They allow only 107 points per game, and they score 120 right now.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that one of the best differentials of all time, if not the best?
Definitely. Yeah, they're right up at the top in the NBA as far as defense and offense are concerned. And they're really playing. I mean, in my opinion, you don't just go and manhandle Nikola Jokic and Anthony Edwards like they did and not be considered the best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. Just right before we sat down, I saw a tweet talking about how this is going to be the easiest finals matchup out of the last couple of finals for OKC. And
Mhm.
people are already forgetting they just had to play the best player in the whole world in the world to a 7 game series. I mean,
Right.
did we forget about that? I feel like they're trying to discredit Shea and discredit the what OKC's been doing all year. But that's nothing new, right? They've been running
No.
into that all year.
Yeah.
And I know, to be honest with you, I think even if they win a ring, I don't know if that's gonna do it. The haters are just never gonna be satisfied.
No, they won't. They'll say, "Oh, Denver fired their coach, or
Yep. Yep.
Minnesota didn't play well." It's the haters are never satisfied, especially with a team like Oklahoma City, not in a big market. I think that they get a lot more criticism, or at least a lot more like, "Well, we got to see what they do," just because they're not a New York or LA or a Boston.
Absolutely. Those small market teams just people don't like them. People don't like to
No.
see a small market team doing well. And that I love a small market team. I mean, I'm a Jazz fan, you know that. Like I
Yep.
love a small market team and this is going to be a fun one with both teams coming from, some of the smallest markets in the whole league.
Definitely. I mean, Indiana, obviously a huge basketball state, two great college programs there. Oklahoma, obviously another, just a good sports state all around. But this is going to be fun. Both fan bases desperately want this. They both have
Oh
gone through
yeah.
some lean years. And both, I mean, in 2012, OKC lost to Miami. And when Paul George was with the Pacers, they couldn't beat Miami. So now it's kind of a overdue matchup, if you will, from guys that really couldn't get over the hump in the early 2010s. Now they're getting their moment to shine.
Yeah. Absolutely. And both teams built on the backs of a Paul George trade.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, we've got Paul George to thank for this finals right here. Um, so I guess let's talk about predictions first, and then let's talk about some reasonings why. We'll talk about these last couple of matchups and what that means going into this finals.
Yeah.
So let's first. I'm saying OKC in five. About you?
I say OKC in five as well. Now, here's why because I
Love
think
it.
Oklahoma City right now, they had, in my opinion, I mean, Indiana, they're physical. Oklahoma City is physical and they have skill. Those two combined together make a scary, scary I'm sorry, combination. There we go. And it's almost like they're unbeatable at this point. But Indiana, I mean, they can be physical too. So I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana gets to Oklahoma City early, maybe takes a game in OKC, game one or game two. We may have more interesting series than people think.
Absolutely agree. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is my official prediction is OKC in five. However, I don't say that to discredit the Pacers. It's more that OKC is that good, not that I don't believe in the Pacers. If that makes sense, because I do believe in the
Absolutely.
Pacers. I think that's a super deep team. They've got some of my favorite role players of all time. Nemhard is like my favorite player in the league,
Oh yeah.
even though he's been struggling offensively. Still
Yeah.
love his defense, love his hustle. I love what he does.
Mhm.
Hopefully, he can start finding his shots here in the finals.
Yep.
And I think Tyrese Halliburton, one of the, I mean, he won the most overrated player award. Like, there's nothing more to say there. Like, people
Right.
overlook him constantly, and I think he's got something to prove for sure.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll win before game three. I think game three or before is when Indiana's going to steal a game, and then I
Yeah.
think OKC is going to come back and they're just going to crush. So
Yeah.
we'll, we'll see how that turns up. I guess so. My first question for you: what do you think about Pascal Siakam winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Tyrese?
Boy, oh boy. It's hard because I feel like no matter which way it went, it would have drawn criticism. If Tyrese
Sure.
won it, they would have said, "Oh, well, Siakam did this, that, and the other thing." If Siakam wins it, which obviously he did, it's, "Oh, well, Tyrese did this, that, and the other thing." I
Correct.
think Tyrese, I don't know. Like I remember when he played against Cleveland too in the
Mm-hmm.
semis, he balled out in that series,
Mm-hmm.
and he balled out against the Knicks too. I think I would have given it to Tyrese, but I see why they gave it to Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. I think if the voting was up to me entirely, I might would have said Tyrese.
Mhm.
However, I don't know. I'm a big Pascal guy. I think he's also super overlooked. And I think the consistency for me is what it is. Tyrese had one of the best games I've ever seen in my life. What game was that when he had what was it, 32, 15, and 12? Uh,
Yeah, I
zero
remember.
turnovers.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. Yeah. Also, the game I was thinking of too. Again, going back to that Cleveland series. Remember what really I think won the Pacers that series? Game two. Remember he hit that three with 1 second left.
Yes, of course, of course. The shot. I mean,
Yep.
dude, I saw a stat the other day. Isn't he like 12 of 14 in games to tie or take the lead in the last 2 minutes? Like
Yeah,
yeah, I know Jalen Brunson won the clutch player, but my goodness, that
I
Tyrese
know.
is clutch,
He is.
unbelievable.
Definitely
Yeah,
is.
yeah, he blows my mind. So in this Knicks series, like I said, he had one of the best playoff performances I think I've ever seen. But he did have two games where he did not show up, and one game where he was absolutely atrocious. I mean,
Mhm.
absolutely horrible. Talk about game
Mhm.
five.
Yeah,
I mean, was that game five?
I think so. Yeah, that was in the Garden.
It had to be game five. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Terrible. I mean, just awful.
yeah.
But I think if it wasn't for that, I think he would have been a lock. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely,
But
definitely. Yeah.
consistency is key. I
Yep.
mean, consistency is key. I think that's I don't know. It's almost one of those Jaylen Brown winning over Jason Tatum
Jason
things
Tatum.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Whole nother can of worms there. But,
That's great. Yeah, that was funny.
well, so I guess let's go team by team then. So
Yeah.
we talked about OKC's strengths already.
Yep.
Uh, one of the most, if not the most dominant defensive team we've ever seen,
Yeah.
at least in the past 20 years. I mean,
Yeah.
people talk about that double big look, but even when they're not running with the double big look, honestly, even more so sometimes,
Definitely.
that defense is just clamps,
Yeah.
clamps. I mean,
Yeah.
shout out Chet, shout out Hart. Uh, the rim protection is excellent. I'm pretty low on Lou Dort. I have been
Mhm.
for quite some time. I
Mhm.
think the defensive guard is a really good and important archetype in the NBA.
Oh yeah, especially
But you
now.
just
Yeah.
gotta 100% now. I mean, Holiday going to Boston is what
Hmm.
set them apart, let them win that ring.
Yep.
But Dort, you got to hit your shots, brother, and he has
Yeah.
not been hitting his shots.
Yeah.
But defense is there, and that's what he's there for at the end of the day. Their bench guards are also excellent on the perimeter.
Yep.
With maybe the exception of Isaiah Joe, who was just there to shoot some
Right.
threes. But
Just spot up three. Yeah.
yep, yep. So I guess if strengths, they're there. It's obvious, right?
Yes.
So let's say you're Carlisle going into game one. You're Rick Carlisle. You got to come up with this game plan to dismantle this OKC defense to get some good looks. Because if you're going to beat OKC, I think the way you're going to have to do it is you're going to have to figure out how to hit your shots. That's it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If you can't at least somewhat figure out that defense, you're cooked.
Oh yeah.
So what if you're at Carlisle? What are you doing going into game one?
I think for if I'm Carlisle, look, I mean, you tell his players they've heard all the talk, but you can't be afraid of Oklahoma City. I mean, how many times have we
Mm,
seen teams in the past play not to lose? And that's
mm,
what really gets them. You got to go all out. And the shots, like you said, have to be falling, but don't be afraid to go inside.
Mhm.
Again, this Knicks team, I mean, I'm sorry, this Pacers team, physical. They can maybe out physical OKC on the board. So that's something they got to figure out too. Offensive rebounds will be key. You can't go one and done against these guys on shots.
Sure.
You got, even if your second chance shots don't fall, you need to create other chances just to get this team on its heels.
Mhm.
So things like that. And like I said, don't be afraid. I mean, the referees are letting them play this year. They're very rough in the playoffs, so
Sure.
don't be afraid to be rough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I love that. I think controlling the clock as much as possible is going to be huge.
Yep.
I think if you let OKC have too much time, too much on ball time, then yeah, they'll just steamroll you.
Oh yeah.
So offensive boards, that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And I think as far as I mean, the players individually go, Tyrese is his entire offense hinges on momentum. He
Yes.
is not the type of player to get hot in the second half, get hot in
Right.
the fourth quarter. If
Right.
he's not on from the get, he's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think yeah, I think as much as you can, try to get Tyrese some good looks early.
Definitely.
If not to get him going, just to see what kind of night he's going to have. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The benefit of that team is you still have Pascal, you still have Neesmith, you still have Miles Turner, you still got all kinds of people who can put up some good offensive numbers. You still got
Yeah.
TJ McConnell on the bench. Like, come on now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shout out McConnell. That's my guy, dude.
Yeah. I love him.
So if yeah, I think that would be my game plan is get Tyrese some looks early, see how he's looking, and then from there just kind of like you said, get physical. And I think even though I mean I don't know with the rim protection being so good, Chet being such an excellent shot blocker, I think you're gonna have to beat him from the mid range and from outside. To be honest with you, I don't think they're gonna be able to slash their way to the to stealing a game.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're right. I do think though that there will be a time because I mean these guys, this is both of these teams' first times in the finals, right? So I think that there's some of it where they were. I don't know if it's going to happen, but there could be starstruck. So if Chet makes a wrong step and you do have an
Sure.
open lane to the rim, you take it. You know, I guess my thing is don't be like if there's even a little opportunity at the rim, you got to take it. You can't be afraid to go up against
100%.
Holmgren.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, yeah. Don't let the OKC aura prevent you from from driving.
right,
That,
right.
that makes sense. That makes sense. And yeah, I don't say that to me to say to not drive. That's one of my biggest gripes with yeah, a lot of players. That was my gripes with Ant early in the series as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not driving, I don't know what you're doing. I
Right.
mean, that's why people don't. That's why I hate the free throw merchant argument so much for Shea is because you look at his how often he drives. Of course, he gets to the line.
Right.
An aggressive slasher gets fouled. That's just how
Right.
it goes.
That
You know
that's
what I mean?
that's how it's been. That's how it's always going to be.
So yeah, maybe you're right. I think either they got to figure out a way, and I don't know how they'll be able to do this, but they got to figure out a way to get Chet out of position, to get Hartenstein out of position. Um, I don't know. And I think to be honest with you, I think if there's any offense in the league that's going to be able to do that, it's probably them. I mean, East or
Yeah.
West.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pacers offense has been excellent.
Yeah, they're good at ball movement. They're good at, when they're on, they're on. When
Hmm.
they can get those shots to fall, when they can get, especially when Halliburton gets going and Siakam gets going, they're as tough to stop as anybody in the league. So, like you said, get good looks. Also, I almost wonder too, if I'm Carlisle, I got to tell him to keep it close because you don't want to get blown out of the water. But if you
Sure.
can keep it within 4 to 6 points going into the fourth quarter, you got to feel good about yourself.
Oh, 100%. And if in game one they do lose a close game, hey, that's a win. I mean,
Right,
that
right,
that's huge. That's huge.
right.
This Pacers team, they haven't let much get to their morale, which is very impressive for a young team. Getting blown out, a couple of times on their way in to
Yep,
this finals. I mean, it didn't affect their morale whatsoever. It seemed like
not
they
at all.
came back with the same energy, the same drive, which is good. That
Yeah.
usually comes with time and experience. For a young team, that's pretty surprising, but I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, and this Pacers team, I think it's worth noting, they're not going anywhere after this year.
Sure,
Like
absolutely.
they'll be there for a long time. So we got to kind of, I mean, when was the last time we could say that? What, 2011, 2012, when
Yeah,
LeBron was the Heat? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, both these teams. I mean, OKC,
Oh
people are
yeah.
talking about that second apron hitting them, but I think they're going to hang on to that trio for quite some time.
Not only that, but they got a guy out of Serbia that I'm really high out of. Nikola Topic will be back next year, and they have a
Sure.
100 million first round picks. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they. I mean, I hate to say it, but they might be coming in to usher the end of the age of parity. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It might be OKC out of the West for the next couple of years.
yeah.
But that being said, the West is better than it's ever been. So I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
surprise me too much if somebody else made a run. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. San Antonio is one of those teams that I think is primed for a big
Oh,
season.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the whole world is high on Wemby, but I think
Oh
I'm
yeah.
as high on Wemby as humanly possible. He is
Yeah.
is, but yeah, unbelievable. But we'll see what happens there, I suppose.
Mhm.
Okay, so then if you're, I guess then yeah, same question. If you're OKC, you're coming in. What's your plan game one?
Well, I think it's quite simple. Just keep playing your game. Make sure the Pacers are not comfortable. Do not give them any, or well, I guess any, but very few open shots need to be given to them. You need to make sure every shot for them is a nightmare. Even if it goes in, make sure it's contested. Offensively, just keep doing
Mhm.
what you're doing. Keep feeding Shea and Chet down low if you can. Shea is going to be aggressive. Let him keep going to the rim. Same thing with Chet. This team, all they have to do, Gage, and I guess I shouldn't say all they have to do, but this team just needs to keep playing the way that they've been playing, and they're going to be really tough to stop. I mean, we talk about world champions. They're the best team in the world right now, and if they keep playing the way like that with that same swagger and toughness, uh, God help Indiana. you know,
100%. 100%. I mean, I love that you say it that way too, where it's just don't get too lost in the lights.
right,
Don't get too lost in the weeds, right?
right,
The only games where OKC has looked remotely beatable this whole playoff run is
yeah,
games where they explicitly didn't play their game, right?
yeah,
When
yeah,
Shea wasn't driving, when
yep,
when their defense wasn't as aggressive as it usually is, when their rotations were all out of whack.
yep.
If they stick to the game plan, if they stick to the blueprint, I think you're exactly right. Making sure each shot is contested, absolutely. I'm trying to think of who I would want, kind of what kind of defense I'm wanting to see out of OKC. Because it is a really good Pacers offense.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, the question almost becomes, is OKC's offense better than the Pacers defense? And I
yeah,
think because OKC's defense all time great, Pacers offense close to all time great. It's excellent.
yeah.
But it's just whether or not the other side can keep up.
Well,
Um,
here's something I want to keep in mind, Gage. OKC, we talked about them giving up 107 points.
mhm.
Indiana gives up 115 a game. So that right there, an 8 point difference between defenses, that might decide if the game is close. We could
Sure.
be seeing something like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, I mean, I think the Pacers, that's the only part of their game that I'm curious to see how they kind of, how they game plan. They do have they do play physical. They can get aggressive, right?
Mhm.
I think they've got some pretty solid perimeter defense. I'm curious to see kind of how Turner can handle Chet and even Jalen Williams. I mean, he's been an excellent post up
Oh
player as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious to see how he handles that. He's got pretty good footwork. His fundamentals are there.
Mhm.
I'm just curious to see if his defense can keep up.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I'm trying to think if I'm OKC, am I wanting to who do I want most of the time on Tyrese? Who do I want most of the time on Neesmith? Who do I want? You know what I mean? Like, what do I want these rotations to look like? Obviously, the center, Miles Turner, we know it's either going to be Hardenstein or Chet most of the
Right.
time.
Right.
However, if I'm OKC, here's what I want my defense to look like from the get. I would rather Chet be out on the perimeter on the wing, and I
Mhm.
would rather have J Dub in the paint. I,
Yeah.
I think he could. I think he could handle Miles Turner just fine. And I
Yeah.
would much rather have Chet to help. He can come in. He can come in to help. He's got quick footwork.
Oh yeah.
He's a super fast moving big.
Yeah.
And then on the perimeter, he's just going to be clamps. He's
Yeah.
going exactly what you said. He's going to make each shot a nightmare.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for from him. But I'm more curious, as far as the guard rotation.
Caruso, in my opinion, I'd love to see where he goes because remember in the semifinals he was guarding Jokic and doing a very good job, and in the finals, conference finals, he was doing a great job defensively too. So I wonder if we'll see uh, Caruso be on Halliburton or Siakam quite a few times.
You know what? Because he did excellent. I mean,
Yeah,
he defended Jokic as good as Zubats, I think, and
yeah,
Zubats was one of the better Jokic defenders I think I've ever seen.
right, right.
Um, so you know what? Maybe Caruso on Siakam most of the time. I like that. I don't know about you.
I
I
would
think that's
love
a
that.
good.
Caruso, I mean, we've seen this in the playoffs. He makes people's lives on offense a living nightmare. I
Oh,
mean, he is
absolutely.
a monster over there.
Yeah, yeah. Can we take a moment? Can we take a moment and just shout
Yes,
out Caruso, man? My goodness
absolutely.
sakes. Kid is a monster. Kid is,
Yes.
yeah, unbelievable. I had no idea he was, what is he, 31, 32?
32. Yeah, he's in his 30s. And I remember, I think one of the more underrated moves of last offseason was Chicago trading him to Oklahoma City.
For sure. I still can't believe they went through with that.
I
Chicago,
yeah.
talk about a front office that doesn't know how to run a team. I mean,
Oh,
good night.
yeah.
It's been a nightmare over there.
Yeah. I have friends that are Bulls fans. They're not happy.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. You're just rolling with Josh Giddey for the time being, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that would be an excellent. That's the look I think I would want to see from the get is Caruso covering Siakam, Chet
Yep.
on the wing, J
Yep.
Dub in the paint, and then from there pick your poison, right, for the
Yep.
other two guards.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I think that's a pretty good. Now, if you're the Pacers, I'm trying to think who. I don't know. That's kind of honestly that's kind of the where I'm most interested to see if I could right now just see a one possession from the series, just a
Yeah.
preview. I would
Yeah.
want to see a late game in the clutch possession. OKC has the ball, and
Yeah.
I want to see what that Pacers defensive scheme looks like. I'm so curious.
Thing is, too, with Oklahoma City, like if one player doesn't go off, if let's say SGA has an off game,
Mhm.
Holmgren will go off. If Holmgren
Yep.
doesn't go off, Williams goes off. So it's really like a almost like who is the bigger risk to
Yep.
really decide a game at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think Shea. I don't think Shea will be. I don't think I'll have a bad game in this series. To be honest with
No,
you, I think he's had some struggles here and there. He's still been fairly consistent,
yeah,
but the teams he's had his struggles against were well equipped to handle his play style. I don't
right.
think the Pacers are well equipped to handle his play style.
Well, I mean, compared to like the Western Conference, the Pacers haven't seen them that much
Right.
compared to teams like the Clippers. So the Clippers and Mavericks would know, or Nuggets would know
Sure.
more how to defend him just because they've
Sure.
seen him so much.
So yeah, that might be to their advantage, to
Yeah,
OKC's advantage. They might be able to just steamroll. I mean,
yeah.
but that being said, yeah, I mean, well, yeah, aren't they? I think OKC's only lost one game against the Eastern Conference all season. They're like 25-1 or
Yeah,
something.
that sounds right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I I I am a Jazz fan, but my second team was the Sonics, and then the Sonics obviously no longer exist. So I'm by proxy OKC fan. I've been rooting for this team.
Hmm.
That being said, though, I do want a good series. I don't want it to be
Me too.
like I would hate for it to be a boring series just because this has been an all-time playoffs as far as
Yes.
entertainment value. Like it's been just series after series of excellent basketball.
Yeah. No, it's just, I mean, the playoffs, you look at even from the first round, you had Bucks Pacers, you had Pistons Knicks, and then in the second round, you had the Knicks finally getting over Boston, which is about 100 years in the making. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you have the Cavs, who looked so good in the Eastern Conference, get
Hmm.
upended by the Pacers. You had Pacers. I mean, this has been one of the best playoffs I think we've seen. And
Oh, 100%.
personally, like the Eastern Conference, especially that Central Division in the Eastern Conference, have fun with that. Like if
Yeah.
you're, I mean, imagine like the teams you have coming back there. Detroit's going to be good again. Indy's going to be good again.
Yep.
Cleveland's going to be good. Milwaukee will be good. I mean, if I'm Chicago and if I'm anybody in that division, ouch. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. That's the type of basketball I love to see. I'm glad
Yeah.
the time of the super team has came and gone. I'm glad it's back to parity. I'm glad it's back to organically built teams that are just
Yep.
built from the ground up. I mean,
Yep.
it's just fun to see, man.
Well, and not
Um,
only built from the ground up, but let's take a tip of cap too, because the Pacers and Thunder did not have a number one pick through their rebuild. This is
yeah,
all smart transactions and player development. And
excellent.
that to me is what's important in the NBA. You can have a million number one picks in a row. If you can't develop those players, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, which we've seen time and time again. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean your franchise is safe.
No, no, it does not.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think those are two of the best front offices in sports. I've been super, I've sung my praises for OKC front court, or, I mean front office for quite some time. I can't believe what they've been able to build with
Yeah.
what they have. Of course, they did kind of luck out here and there, but um, just with talent wise, right? Like drafting
Right.
J-Dub so late,
Right.
Shea, everyone knew he'd be, somewhat good, but not this good.
Not this good.
Um, but that being said, just excellent moves. I mean, just the Caruso trade we were just talking about. That's a perfect example. They got
Yeah.
him on a super good deal, and it made an already contending team that much better. Like that's
Well,
Hartenstein too. Like
yeah.
unbelievable.
Not only that, but they didn't have to mortgage their future away.
Exactly. Exactly. Somehow, I don't
Yeah,
know. I
I
don't know.
is it what are they? I mean, does Presti have some sort of like a witchcraft he's doing on the? I don't know
No,
what he's doing.
seriously. I don't know if he's. I don't know. These are some crazy. These are like old timey deals where it's like
Right.
you look at it and you're like, what was going on?
It's like
It doesn't
it's like in
make
the
any sense.
80s when Boston had those number one picks and they kept winning championships, but because they kept fleecing teams, they had the number one overall pick. It's like, how are they allowed to get away with this?
Yeah, yeah. It's almost turning into to like soccer rules where it's like best team
Yeah.
gets the team, is like it gets the pick. It's like what? Yeah, it's well. So I think both those teams are going to be forces to be reckoned with for a long time. It
Yeah.
reminds me of it kind of reminds me. I don't know. I guess we haven't talked about football much. Uh,
Mhm.
it reminds me of that Baltimore front office as well, where it's like
Yes.
just move after move after move. You're like, how? Yeah, just impressive stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
hats off to them. I mean,
Yeah.
excellent work. Love to
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, and I mean, really in this finals, there's no really big villain team, is there? I mean, there's no Celtics or Knicks. These are teams that are trying to get long-suffering fan bases championships. So I want to say this is one of the most likable finals we've had.
You would think so. I don't know why I'm seeing so much vitriol and so much like hate from the on in like NBA Twitter and stuff. Everybody's like, I'm not watching this finals. But to me, all
Right.
that says is you're not a real basketball fan.
Right.
You're not watching the games. You don't like the sport as much as you say. You like the big markets. You like
Right.
you like the branding and all that. You know what I
Right. The
mean?
Lakers and Knicks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just that. How boring would the league be if it was like that every single year? I mean, it has been. It was for years.
Up until now, it's been Celtics, Lakers, and then the Warriors came out of nowhere for a bit. But up until now, it's been those teams. And now you're seeing teams like the Pistons, the Cavaliers get their moment in the spotlight. And they can do it with young players on good deals.
Yeah, I love to see it. I'm so excited for this next few years, and super excited for this playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
this finals. I'm hoping it's gonna be an excellent, dogfight.
Yeah.
And whoever, I mean, obviously I've already tipped my hand. I know OKC. I'm high on OKC,
Me too.
but if even if the Pacers can bring it to 6 games, or even honestly a competitive 5.
Yeah.
That'll be all the more reason to be wary of them next season.
Yeah. And, as somebody that, like, I'm very familiar with the Cavs and Pistons, the Pacers, in my opinion, like you said, if they can make it a competitive 5 or make it to 6 games,
Mm-hmm.
look out because they're only going to get better, in my opinion.
100%,
Not
100%.
only that, but they're going to know what it feels like to be in the finals, and they're going to be hungry.
Exactly. They've already given the fan base a taste. They're so close. Even
Right.
now, like they
Yeah.
know that it's feasible. They know how good they are. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Um, Any final predictions prior to game one? Anything? Any parting wisdom?
I'll say this: if the Pacers can take one of games 1 and 2, that's a victory for them. Because if they can go back home with the series tied at 1-1, and we know how tough Indianapolis is, and we know how big the fan base is, and just how loyal they are, OKC is going to have a tough time if the Pacers do get some momentum going their way early on in that series. I could see a scenario where they make things interesting, but I think this is OKC. They are clearly the favorites here. But hey, I mean, I wrote the Pacers off when they played the Cavaliers, and look,
Me
I
too.
mean, look at them now. So it's going to be a fun finals, and I think that if Oklahoma City does what we think they're going to do, this is probably one of the best playoff runs we've had the opportunity to see.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm already saying this is at least since I've been, paying attention with the exclusion of 2010's Braun and a
Oh
couple of
yeah,
other ones. Yeah, this is an all-time playoff run.
definitely.
It's been so fun to watch. Super high on both these teams. I think you're right. Pacers, if they can come out eight and kind of surprise OKC, catch off guard, that'll be their best shot. I think at stealing the game. But yeah, we'll be back after one. We'll talk about what went right, what went wrong,
Yep.
predictions for the rest of the series. But yeah.
Yep.
So with that, I've been Gage Brinkerhoff.
And I've been Allan Wylie.
Yes, sir. This has been Stat Sheet. We'll see you next time.